Hello, my name is Courtney Coleman, and for my project in English 2004, summer of 2018, I chose to do multiculturalism in the classroom and why we need it. This topic is a great way for me to understand the aspects of students with different ethnicities I'll be teaching in elementary school. Look at these pictures. Think about how you know someone of each of these cultures. How have they changed your view on society? Is it for the good or bad? If you think of them differently, how do you think teachers think of them? As a society, we hear stories of people of different races, which helps shape our thoughts and judgments based on those single-sided stories. We rush to conclusions based on what we experience, but we need to get to know them for who they are, not for what people make them out to be. A couple phrases and other definitions that help us figure out how to deal with multiculturalism are on the following slides. Cultural education, according to Keith Wilson, professor of education at Southern Illinois University, multicultural education is education and instruction designed for the cultures of several different races in an educational system. The effects of using it is that teachers and students must be prepared for the interactions of students with other races in either a positive or negative outcome. A major downside to this is that students who feel changed in school or personal life are too damaging, they can act out and create problems in the class environment. Wilson also acclaimed multicultural education is a potential catalyst to bring all races together in harmony, and I couldn't agree more. It will just take some time to not have history repeat itself. A major problem in classroom settings that always isn't addressed is stereotyping, and the strategies to lessen or hopefully rid of it in the future. Stereotyping is a fixed, overgeneralized belief about a particular group or class of people, per an article written by Dr. Catherine Good on Turnaround for Children. Negative stereotypes about children can disrupt their engagement, performance, and learning. To help eliminate this, having students know they can stretch their abilities not only to be a good student, but also be an even better peer to classmates is the way to start knocking down the stereotypical wall. Being direct with students about not judging people on the outsides reassured them that everyone goes through hardships and that they can overcome difficulties, which helps them become a better citizen in society. This is just a brief description of what segregation is, while the next slide is talking about the turning point in the United States school segregation system, Brown versus Board of Education. Segregation is a separation of people of different race, social class standings, income, and much more. A study done in February of 2018 noted that as of 2014, white kids no longer make up the majority of America's public school systems. The same study also claimed that black students are just as segregated today as they were in the 1960s. This is contradictory of each other, but it also shows that the United States is trying to change its education system. But the main thing is still left is the question, will they actually succeed? Students of different race and cultural background go to schools that have minimal resources and less experienced teachers than the others. The major event that opened the door for desegregation and including the civil rights movement occurred in 1954 called the Brown versus Board of Education. It was decided that segregation in southern states was unequal and uncivilized. It was started when Lena Brown, a little third grader, dad, was angry because she would have to take the bus a long way away because she was African American, even when a white school was much closer. For much of United States history, blacks and whites have been prevented from attending the same school due to violence aimed at blacks who were going about their own business who got treated horribly. It has been noticed by numerous studies that the majority black personas are in high poverty, low achieving schools, while white students are in high achieving affluent schools. For many years, society, mainly teachers, have looked at the pros and cons of multicultural students in the same classroom. The main goals for students of different cultural backgrounds is to assist children in recognizing differences and similarities among their peers. In the article, Creating a Multicultural Classroom Environment, children learn that people can be different and unique but still have much in common. These realizations assist children with accepting and respecting people of all backgrounds. Teachers also need to implement a multicultural perspective into the course materials and classroom management. This needs careful consideration of each student's cultures and traditions. The point of my project is to show people that we need to teach students about multiculturalism in the classroom, whether it's through World Cultures Day or a book about being you. Using multicultural literature in everyday life, it shows people of different stories and perspectives of their society other than through what we hear. For when you're using multiculturalism books in your lessons in your classroom, the following are the top 3 important gains out of using those literatures. First, it helps with learning about kids from around the world. Kids are curious about what their peers' backgrounds are, like where they sleep, what toys they play with, or even what food they eat. By using these books, kids get a glimpse of the life of another child in different countries. For a lesson, you could ask them, how are we alike and different than families in this book? Secondly, it teaches us tolerance and respect of different societies. It will increase cultural awareness and help us become more respectful towards people with different backgrounds. With so much violence in the world today, it's our duty to teach children about compassion. A lesson for doing so could have a group of students do research on leaders from around the world who embody peace, overcome challenges, and have excellent character traits. Last, it will not only encourage students but teachers of taking pride in their cultural heritage. It produces a positive self-identity when we learn about our own cultural background. It could be an historical event, childhood hero, positive stories, or a national leader can help us notice what makes us unique. The works that were used in this project are the following poems: School Days of an Indian Girl by Zikala Sa, and the Elementary School Choir by Gregory Djakin, Growing Up Italian by Maria Gillen, When I Was Growing Up by Nellie Wong, and Elena by Pat Mora. School Days of an Indian Girl by Zikala Sa is about how the author used her personal experiences to convey what it's like for her to undergo being removed from her family and village and placed in an English-only school. It's about having to change and adapt to a different culture to overcome obstacles. The 3 sections are about initially being taken from a place she calls home with friends, her traditions and customs are cut short, and how to overcome obstacles you must push forward to accomplish them. The following quote is how about she forced to eat and do things she didn't want to do, along with getting her carrot cut, which is a sign of weakness in the Indian culture. I began crying instead, for this time I was afraid to venture anything more. Our mothers had taught us that only unskilled warriors who were captured had their hair singled by the enemy. She realized that she had been strong even through the changes in society, that when her hair was being cut, she lost all hope of civilization. This story is about assimilation into another culture that forces people to let go of their previous societal norms. It's a coming of age story because she has excitements that soon fade as she discovers the unfamiliar world of schools with strict schedules, rules, and punishments. She is forced on how to essentially become a white person. She doesn't make any friends and spends too much time wanting to be with her mother rather than trying to survive to get out and see her. This story is not only for Saw, but for many natives who have undergone depression for being forced in the white school system. The way she felt at the school, with being an outsider among white people, she gets urges of rebellion and revenge for the despair her and her friends have undergone. Her story is a representation of the resiliency and strength of the Indian culture, which can help students understand their society matters and how you can connect your past to your current way of life. Gregory Jerzakins in the elementary school choir is about immigration into a new world with hopes it'll be similar to the previous life. The little boy is singing in his school choir. He could think of different places and parts of his past life and how it connects to the song lyrics. The little boy is getting used to the American society, even with having a little crush named Linda Deemer, with her amber waves and lovely fruited plains. She felt that he could become a happy new boy in a culture so distant from what he's used to, with the hopes of knowing more about the American culture. The following quote is about how the boy connected the lyric, "Land where my fathers died," to his family deaths and how he can still be connected to his roots back home. A host of my great uncles and grandfathers stand from their graves in the Turkish interior and finding themselves suddenly on a rock among maize and poultry. Having the connection of past experiences and current experience can help people who are changing cultures better adapt and have a sense of ease. The boy connects taking a train to visit his grandmother to about the trains in St. Louis. How every song they sang either had the sun or bluebirds, and saying it was because America is so beautiful and full of life. At the end of the poem, the boy was setting a goal to impress his classmates, especially his crush, on learning the cities and states, as well as wanting to become a better citizen for not only school life, but for his personal life too. Knowing what other people are thinking of your society, helping them accomplish their goals to become a member of your culture, can help people think about how they can become a better member of society. Growing Up Italian by Maria Gillen is about a little girl who's Italian and having to change and adapt to the American ways. She talks about how in kindergarten she could hear the words in English but couldn't produce it. It was the Italian word that was always with her. The quote that describes how the child felt is, "I grew silent, the Italian word balanced on the edge of my tongue, and the English word lost during the first moment of every question." She talks about how her peers and teacher would bring in or wear things that were new and looking nice. While she got hand-me-downs, her mother would only bring minimal supplies, and how she had to make things from scratch to feel like she could fit in with her peers. As she grows up, she looked for that sense of the American man who could give her children who were blonde and blue-eyed. As the woman grew up, she wanted to find that sense of happiness that everyone else was achieving. Her idea of this was to find a guy who had money who could help her with wanting to have blonde-haired and blue-eyed children. She eventually comes to the realization that she was made to be different and that she was supposed to be. She noticed her different color skin, her Italian parents, and the poverty that she was when she grew up. She was telling herself, "I celebrate my Italian self." Our society is wanting to become the best we can be. Sometimes that means getting rid of something that was defining us of who we are. Having that sense of groundedness can help us see what our purpose is in life, our own American dream. She was just wanting to be the better of herself to morph into the American society, but realized that the uniqueness of each individual is what makes up the culture of the United States. Nellie Wong's When I Was Growing Up is about a girl struggling to identify as an Asian American in the United States. She imagined herself as someone who was of different skin color and racial background blended with society. Because of racial problems between different cultures in the Asian American community, Wong was shameful of her Chinese heritage and wished to be someone else. The beginning of the poem, she was told of her darkness, and she took that as not only the different skin color, but her soul, and how she noticed people of fair skin be called beautiful, and she wasn't. The quote, I discovered the rich white girls, a few yellow girls, their imported cotton dresses, their cashmere sweaters, their curly hair. And I thought that I too should have what these lucky girls had. Talks about wanting something that wasn't made directly for you, but having that desire and hopefulness of being that person in society. This poem speaks about how American culture is portrayed through books, TVs, and magazines. Someone who is wanting to become different can morph into their own view of society to blend in. Towards the end of the poem, Wong realizes that since she can't become a different person, she must accept who she is in order to be happy and to succeed in society. Having that sense of knowing you make a difference in the world and to not change who you are can make a difference on how you shape into the current culture. This poem also shows the racial and socioeconomic status and how it's portrayed differently in the Western culture and media. Elena by Pat Mora is about a mother who lost connection with her family, who have become adapted to the American language and culture, while she feels left behind and forgotten. They moved from Mexico to America, which was supposed to create a better life for the family, but she feels they can't go back to their culture because she isn't able to understand the American ways. She bought a book on how to learn English, but feels stupid and out of place using it because she doesn't want to leave her roots. The quote, I'm 40, embarrassed at mispronouncing words, embarrassed at the laughter of my own children, is described how she wants to try, but claims she won't be able to understand enough to progress in society, as well as not wanting to make a fool of herself, trying to speak and made fun of her family and friends. Having the want and desire to help create a life in society, you need to push forward in order to achieve your goals. Having students know that their goals mean something to people can help them achieve it, especially with having a bilingual population at school. Peers will be able to encourage others by learning about their peers' language as well as how it blends with their culture. This is a story about how to push yourself to achieve your goals, even if they seem impossible. Determination is key to become a successful member of society. This is the work cited. Thank you so